Welcome to MellyS the Story Collector Web TV, where we bring you inspiring stories from courageous individuals about the moments and experiences that have shaped their lives. Today's show, Cassandra is going to share with us how her life actually began when she left her ex-husband. Now, this is an amazing story of not just courage, but of finding the freedom of going out on your own.
I wanted to share it because it's what I do for my clients, and I don't think it's very fair that I don't share my story when I'm asking them to share their story, basically.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, it gives you freedom. It gives you freedom of the past.
Yep.
So when you can talk about it without the emotion and you can just talk about it and see the growth and see what you've done, that's when you're free. Yeah, so that's part of my freedom.
Well, that's beautiful. I love it. So where did your story start then? Where does this all begin?
Okay, well, that's actually really difficult. I've tried so many times to see where it started, but everything is completely interconnected, isn't it?
Yep.
So there's no one start point. But I suppose it started when my ex-husband and I came down to Perth. I wasn't yet 21. We had been married for, I think, 2 months. We'd had our daughter who was 8 months. We'd bought a house. We left my family behind, like everything else, completely isolated. And within 6 months of being in Perth, in this tiny little town, like this town has got like 6 houses in it.
Oh, okay. So really small.
I was really isolated, really poor. And he had a car accident, and then I had to be his emotional caretaker, and it continued until I finally left. But because of all of that, the relationship itself, it meant I became quite stressed, especially after the birth of my second child. I was really, really stressed, and to the point where I was suicidal. And I had a lifeline thrown at me by my first teacher, and she taught me about self-responsibility and self-awareness when it comes to energy and how to connect with the world around us.
Yeah.
And over the years, it has really stuck with me how when we take responsibility, how we learn, we can grow, we can improve our own life. But at the same time, there are many places, many educators, many shops who actually say that they're going to help people in the spiritual movement, and yet it's a money-making scheme. And it's made me so angry that I started my own business. And when I started my own business, it was all about the people. So people could come in and just chill. They could read the books that I have. I've got this massive library now. They could read all the books. They didn't have to pay for it. They could play with all the crystals. They could play with all the cards. They could learn whatever they could learn while they were there. They were welcome to learn. And it was like a big open house for spirituality and energy.
That's a spiritual library.
Hey?
It's a spiritual library.
Yeah. I have over 300 books now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I scoured all the secondhand shops, everything. I've bought so many things. But it's all open for anyone to use. As long as they're happy to come here and stay, because my books aren't leaving my door, then they're welcome to learn as much as they can. They can ask questions, they can learn whatever they want to learn. And I've always held on to that. Energy isn't about money, it's about energy, it's about our individual journey, and that's what it's all about, and that's what I keep trying to teach people. So yeah.
So if we go back to that point where you're in that postnatal depression phase, what was that like in there? What did that feel like in that spot?
Oh, it was, you know what, I can't even describe the feeling. I can remember laying on the couch one day. We had these secondhand, awful 70s green couches. And I can remember laying on it one day and closing my eyes and just willing myself to not exist. Just waiting and waiting to just like, sooner or later, I'm not going to be here. Like, let's just get it over and done with now.
Yeah.
So, and like I was saying, there was a point where I was driving in the middle lane of Thompson Highway because that was the only way that I could keep myself safe to get to work and to get home from work, because there's no way that I would have gone through a lane of traffic to put myself over the edge or into a barrier or anything else like that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty bleak. It was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And really the only reason why I stayed was because I knew that my ex-husband wouldn't be capable of looking after the children.
Yeah.
And that was much the only thing that kept me there at that point in time.
And do you feel it's that connection that you got with spirit then that brought you back and that snapped you out of that depression?
Yeah, well, I'd always been connected with spirit, but with the marriage, I suppose I had put it to one side. And because he didn't believe in it, he thought it was rubbish and all the rest of it. And it was when my son was a little bit older that I found my first formal teacher. And it brought me back. It brought me back to myself. And it brought me back onto the journey of energy and how to reconnect with the world and how to reconnect with myself.
Yeah.
So it brought me back to my childhood space of knowing what's around us and how we interact, and that what we do doesn't just affect ourselves or our human family, it also affects our energetic family as well. So whether it's the elements or whether it's our past loved ones or so forth. There's so many aspects to our lives, and that's what we're working with.
Yeah. So was there a peak in anything that happened during that journey that's really sticking out in your mind right now?
Yes. So I got really angry. I got really, really angry because I was trying to learn and I was trying to get myself into a better headspace and a healthier headspace. And I was helping friends. And so I actually started looking into it, and then I found out the markup in some stores and how some of these energetic stores or these new age stores would put prices up sky high, even back then, and it still happens today. And I know that we have overheads, and I know that's all part of business, but some of these markups were like 3,000%. It was insane. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. So I actually started my own business because of it, and that's when I actually brought everybody in and allowed them to learn for free. There were still some services available, but anything that they wanted to learn, if it was in the bookcase, they could learn it. They could play with the crystals, they could play with the deck of cards, they could play with anything that they wanted to, and to just learn and to come back and work out where they were, who they were, and how they were connected into this world. Yeah.
And how do you help? Do you do any other sort of work to help facilitate that, or is it just the shop?
No, so I actually sold the shop, and I got divorced, started my life again, and I'm actually in a really good space these days because I'm much more aware of my journey and how I've gone. So I've spent 15 years teaching in one way or another now. I teach Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, and I do all these other things as well. But what I'm really passionate about is actually, it's called our SEE program, SEE, and it's just actually about listening to people. So what we do is I get someone to sit down and they just talk their story, say it from the moment that they started having issues, or even if they were a child, and just tell me your story from there to there, just let it all out. Because what we find is that a lot of people have cycles. They have a time cycle, and this is what I learned when I was going through everything. They have cycles, so it might be every 7 years or every 9 years or so forth. Mine with my ex was every 18 months. Every 18 months something would happen. And when you start going back through your life, you see these cycles. So we go through the story and we acknowledge. So, and it's something that I'm sure that you understand. When you acknowledge someone, you make it true. You make it tangible. And when something's tangible, then you can do something about it.
Yeah.
So we do that. We map out basically all the big stuff and why it's happening. We see all the corresponding elements to it. For example, a lot of the time, if something has happened when we're 21, it's probably happened at 28 and 35 and so forth and so forth.
Yeah.
Because it's all corresponding. And it's like the old adage, we're onions, we're layers. Well, we are layers. We're layers in time, we're layers in cycles, we're layers, and that's what we have to work with. So once we have all of that, then we can start looking at how we can change that. We can start looking at how we can implement our changes. Because once we're aware of something, then we can actually move forward on it. We can grow on it.
Yeah.
And we basically celebrate our journey. We start understanding that how everything has happened has brought us into a space now.
Yeah.
And, well, for me, now is freaking awesome.
So what's your cycle then? Are you aware of what your cycle is and how you go through it?
Yeah, well, my cycle's changed because I was so dictated with by the ex-husband. It was always 18 months. So my cycle has now changed. Mine's at the moment about every 3 months and then every 9 months. So I'll go through every 3 months. So I'll actually have 2 months where I'm completely focused on one thing, and it will be about, for example, work, and it will be just all about work. And then in the last 2 weeks, I'll start shifting.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 weeks, I'll shift back into, so it will be all about, okay, energy growth and learning the lessons and so forth. And then it'll be another 3 months of, okay, so I'm acknowledging it, I'm sitting back, I'm taking stock. Okay, cool, this is awesome. And then I'll have another 3 months of starting to implement and plan, and then 3 months of work, and then 3 months of do it. That's where I'm sort of sitting at the moment.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, and it makes life a little bit easier. It's not so much in business because, of course, your focus keeps switching, but for my own self, for my own growth, it means that I feel a lot more productive and I don't feel so scattered trying to do everything at once. I understand that, right, this is all about this is all about this.
Yeah.
And we'll just go with it. So, yeah, it's self-care.
It is. It's the essence of self-care, honouring your own cycles and not trying to fit into what society deems as the appropriate cycle.
And that's it. And I think when we reconnect with ourselves, because I'm a big believer that we are all divine beings. And once you connect with that divinity within, that's when you can start moving forward. So when you acknowledge, when you tell your story and acknowledge your story, you can actually take all that trauma and put it down, and then you can actually acknowledge your truth and your divinity and that light within. And then you can actually look and work with what's going on from a completely different vibration.
Yeah.
So when you're taking responsibility, then you're taking responsibility for your life and for the growth that you're going to undertake.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I have this saying, and people get really annoyed with it, but too bad. And it's, and I say, your energy is your reality. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And if you can change your energy, you will change your reality. And you can't do that until you acknowledge what you've done, good, bad, otherwise, or what you've been through.
And do you think that's why people get annoyed at it? Because it does mean taking that radical self-honesty and going, oh, I'm responsible for this stuff I don't like.
Oh, definitely. And I do it to myself. I get really annoyed to myself. You have no idea how many conversations I have with people, and I'm like, yes, I know, I'm listening. Like, I'm talking to my people and I'm like, I know, I'm listening, shut up.
Yep, I do that too, yep.
So, yeah. So I'm actually in a really good space. I love being able to do this work with people one-on-one. And it's actually given me the confidence to start working platform events now, which is where my personal bliss point is. So I love being able to affect change in people.
Yeah.
And able to do this one-on-one, it's huge. It means that you're actually helping someone for life.
Yes.
My platform events, I'm helping myself for life because I love it, and that's my happy joy space. But when you can change people's lives, or at least give them the key to be able to do it themselves,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It builds, it ripples all the way through, and it changes everybody's life then.
Yeah. And that's what I believe stories can do as well. By sharing your story, you're handing someone a key to unlock their own stories.
Yeah. I wrote a post a little while ago because I got so incensed because it was something on Facebook. It was a marketing thing, and I took a picture of it, and it says, "No one wants to hear your story." And I'm like, so I've actually taken a screenshot of it, plastered it back up on Facebook, and said, "Yes, I do," because if you can't, how often are we told that you don't matter by people not listening?
Or subconsciously told that in society. Yeah.
That's it. From the moment that we are a child, right up until the day we die, we don't talk about our pain. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't talk about our excitement. We don't talk about the dorky things going through our brain.
Yep.
It's so fake, and it's time to get real.
Yep. I love it. No wonder we've connected. We're on the complete same wavelength. I love it. So when it comes, do you find you attract a lot of people who've had a similar story to you? And you're helping them go through that?
For a long time, I attracted victims, people who are victims of their own making, so to speak. I mean, I don't want to take away from their journey because their journey is the same. Huge. I get a lot of people who've gone through trauma, a lot of people who've gone through emotional trauma, which is in direct correlation to my marriage.
Yeah.
But these days, I've actually noticed a shift, and I'm working with a lot of aware women now. Women who are aware, and they are just, what's the right word? They're owning themselves. They're owning their ambition. They're owning their strengths. They're owning their amazing self.
Yeah.
And I am loving it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loving it. Because when we can actually step back and go, you know what? This is what I do, and I'm good at what I do, and I love what I do, and I can help you if you want to help.
Yeah.
And then step back. I think that's fantastic. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And it's that soft sell. There's none of this, you need me. It's I'm here when you're ready for me. And that's such a different energy.
And this is the premise of a lot of energy work, even in the New Age and the light workers and so forth, is that like vibration attracts like vibration. So, you know, that's how it works, and it's true, you know, like attracts like. But they don't take it that step further. Whereas if you can just like say, it's a soft sell, it's not a hard sell. It's just like, this is the space I'm in, and if you want to connect, I'm open.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. You've been on such a big journey to get to here now and to be owning that space.
It's been a huge journey, and it's taken me a long time to get here. I always thought it would take me a lot less time. But I'm actually in a really good space, and I can honestly just turn around these days and just go, you know what, energy is my bliss. I don't care how it comes or how it's worked with. Energy is my space, and I'll work and I will teach and I will show you, no matter how we need to do it. It's just, that's how it is. And I think that's part of what comes with being a channel as well. So, and I just get excited because I never know what's going to pop out half the time either. So I've got all my stuff that I know, that I've learned, and I've been able to connect, and I can hold my own space. And yet each person is so individual. Something new comes in, and it's like, wow, it's like you're getting to learn a little bit more of the universe, and you're getting to learn a little bit more of that next person, and it's fantastic. It's like little miracles.
It is, isn't it? So what would you suggest for someone who's probably still hesitant to accept that spirituality within them? What would you say is the first step for them?
The first step. You know what? It's really hard because most people can't do it for themselves, and they get a little bit funny. You know what? I actually had a lady tell me a couple of weeks ago, and she actually said I was really hesitant, and I wasn't too sure. But after I spoke to you, then I just went for it, and now she's running her own business. And I can't remember what I said to her, but what I say to other people is that all you have to do is just stop and connect. If you can't connect with yourself, you have to connect with the loved one instead. You just feel it. One of the exercises that I used to do is that I would get someone to think of their loved one, whether it was a child or their mum, is usually the best one, and just think of them. Just get rid of all the other thoughts and just concentrate on that person. Visualize that person. Feel the emotion that you have with that person. You want the person that you love the most, right? And just feel them. Just feel it. Just take that time and feel it. Okay. So once you've felt that connection and you're like, yep, this is the shining light. Now, just ask yourself some questions. Is this person made of love? Do you love this person? And then you answer is yes. And then, like, okay, so do you believe that this person has a soul? Well, yes. Okay. What does that soul look like? You know, just visualize for a second what that soul looks like. And usually it's like a ball of light, or it's shiny, it's sparkly. I'm like, is it fair to say that every person has a soul? Okay, that's what we're saying for. That means you have a soul, and that's what your soul looks like too.
Yeah.
So when you stop and you go, wow, we've got a soul. Everyone has light. Everyone has that within. And then I would actually sit back and go, okay, now we're going to step in within. And that is when you get to like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's just amazing.
That's beautiful. It's so soft and gentle too, without just saying, you have it, accept it. It's like, come to that realization yourself. Yeah.
That's it. Well, I've been told I'm very tactile, so I have to feel it or see it, or I have to be able to experience it.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's the easiest way. And so once you know that you're connected, you'll start looking. You'll start looking for those other little connections.
And they pop up.
The feeling that I shouldn't take that road, but you do, and the traffic's really bad.
Yeah.
Or you think, oh, I need to call mum today, and mum rings.
Yeah.
Those are all those little energy connections that, because everything is energy, including thought and emotion, it's reaching out and tapping another person.
Yeah.
And that's part of the awareness. And the more that you do that, the more aware you become, and the more aware of your own energy that you become. It doesn't happen like that. Well, for some people it might, but most often it's not. And it's a matter of growing. It's a matter of growing that. And it's just like muscles or dieting or anything else like that. You have to do it every day. You can't just do it once and go, yay, look at me, I've lost 15 kilos in one day. It's more of, you have to do it every day. And you have to learn it. And you have to learn how to trust. And that's where most people's issues really is, because they don't trust themselves. And if they don't trust themselves, they can't trust their energy. So that's all correlated. So they have to be able to do both. And go forward.